Alright guys, so here we have Nightwing, the Batman Who Laughs, and Batgirl from McFarlane's DC Multiverse line. And the reason we're reviewing these guys together is because they each come with a piece of the Batmobile. Now, I believe the Batman Who Laughs and Batgirl both come with these two side pieces, and Nightwing comes with this middle piece. But before we take a look at this, or any of the figures, or any of their accessories, we'll take a look at all the boxes that they come in. Now, for the purpose of time, I'm only going to show you one of these packages because they're literally all nearly exactly the same aside from the plastic inside and the picture on the back. And I mean, you're all going to see the pictures on the back of each packaging because they're the same exact picture that you will see on these cards here. So here we have the Batman Who Laughs, his packaging. You can see he has the collect-to-build Batmobile, so the packaging is a little bit bigger. 12 and up, McFarlane toys on the top, 22 moving parts on the very top. A little tough to see, it's way up there. DC Multiverse, Batman Who Laughs, collect to build the Batmobile. On the side, same thing, Batman Who Laughs, DC Multiverse, and the Batman Who Laughs. Very nice logo there. And on the back you can see, like I said, the same exact picture with the card, and you can see a picture of which Batmobile piece he comes with. And the three other figures that each include a Batmobile piece. And make sure you follow McFarlane Toys, whatever social media they have, and put hashtag McFarlane Toys on the pictures of your figures. You know, you can see that they'd like you to do that right there because they include a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram logo on the very bottom. And you can see DC and Warner Brothers on the very bottom there. And then just some random hoopla on the bottom as well as a barcode. You can see I bought this for $27 at GameStop. Was I ripped off? Maybe. The prices on Amazon are pretty close, so whatever. And then you can see here the Batmobile that you build. You get 3 pieces from each character. And I mean, it looks cool. You know, the aesthetic of it is cool. It's a cool thing to have on your shelf, I guess. But personally, I feel like it's just, I don't know, really unnecessary. I would have rather built another figure or anything else, to be completely honest. Something that's actually in the 1/12 scale, or not 1/12, the 7-inch scale of figures, you know what I mean? And this is obviously not in 7-inch scale. It's pretty freaking tiny, so it doesn't really serve a purpose aside from just kind of looking cool on your shelf. With that said, it does have a really nice paint job. It is a really flimsy kind of toy plastic, obviously. I mean, what do you expect? I like that the wheels are rubber, they're not plastic, so that's a very nice touch. And yeah, like I said, very nice painting, very nice sculpt work here. I like the design of this vehicle in particular. So all in all, I mean, it looks cool, but I really would have preferred something else. This is kind of a waste. And I should mention too, here you can see the nice paint work on this little what is this, like some kind of blaster type thing on the back there. So that's very nice. That accelerator thing looks like it's painted pretty dope. I like that a lot. So all in all, cool accessory. Would have preferred something else. And then for the first accessories these guys come with, I'm going to show you each of their trading cards. Here you have Batgirl, Art of the Crime, and on the very back you can see all the different info and the likeness of the character that they chose from the comics that they put, you know, on the figure. So you can see your Batgirl number 27. That's the version of the character we get in figure form. So, I mean, if you want to read all that and look at all the information, you can pause it. If you wish to do so, I will focus it a little bit for you guys here so you can read that. There you go. Then we have the Batman Who Laughs. We have some really dope art there, and on the back, a lot of information about him. You can see the likeness that is captured is the Batman Who Laughs number 1. So pause that if you wish to read it. And lastly, we have Nightwing's little trading card. It says Better Than Batman on the very bottom. And the likeness that he's captured from is Nightwing number 1 comics. 2016, Richard Dick Grayson, blah, blah, blah. Pause that if you'd like to read all that. I will focus it here for you. And first we'll take a look at the Batman Who Laughs. He obviously comes with this stand here. Every single one of these guys comes with the stand. They all fit on the feet very well. And he comes with 2 accessories. He comes with 2 little weapons here. And they're both painted very nicely. They're very, very dirty and nasty looking with a nice leather kind of brown look, or like a, almost it does kind of have a leathery look to it, but it tends to be like a wooden brown and then some wrapping there, which is a darker brown. So that's nice that they have 2 different brown tints on there. And yeah, like I said, this looks very dirty and it fits in his hands very nicely. Fits in there very snug. And this other one is just like a nice little blade here. Same thing. Very nice paint work. And it fits in his hands very, very nicely. As you can see here, it fits well. Now, this guy, my main thing with him is he has some great paint work going on. He has some great attention to detail. He has kind of like no neck. Would have been nice to have a little bit more of a neck. But dude, look at that neck pivot, man. That shit is just awesome. That's so fucking creepy. I love that. I absolutely love that. But I don't really like the fact that he has like no neck. It looks kind of awkward. The shoulders all hunched. But it definitely looks creepy, you know? So maybe that was intended. There's some green sparkly stuff there. I don't know what the heck that's from. But all in all, very nice detail. You can see here on the boots. Just, I'll zoom this in for you guys a little bit here. You can see there's fantastic work done on the boots here. I love the boots very, very much. Very nice. All the different wrinkles in the clothes, man. How torn this little piece looks, little skirt piece, tailcoat looks. Just fantastic. And look at that. All the buttons and everything, all painted silver, all throughout. Look at that, like silver staples and stuff. That attention to detail is what makes these figures so fantastic, in my opinion. I really love that. And just the dirty kind of silver and the little spikes going around. There is great attention to detail on this guy. All the different metallics going on. All over the front, all these buckles are all silver. Buckles on the sleeves, all silver. So great attention to detail, man, in my opinion. I really love it. Now, this guy is probably my favorite of the three. It's him or Batgirl. He actually looks pretty great, in my opinion. I don't mind him. I think he's, the only thing I complain about is he's lacking a little bit in the articulation department. And I'm not really a fan of these ball joints. Honestly, they're kind of awkward to me. But I like the articulation that they offer, so I'll give him that. But like I said, the best part about this guy is that there's a hell of a lot of detail. The face sculpt is alright. I'll bring him in a bit closer here and focus it on his face so you guys can see that, like, this face here looks kind of awkward. I don't know, because the paint is almost like smearing on his face. I don't know if that's supposed to be like blood or something, but it just kind of looks like he has pink makeup, and I don't really like it. It looks a little awkward on the face. Otherwise, I think he's really great with the detail. The face sculpt is very creepy and cool. Looks a lot like his comic counterpart, so I like that. As for the articulation, his head, you know, surprisingly looks decently far down. Looks very far back. So they actually did some good articulation with this guy. I showed you before, it has a great neck pivot, man. Look at that. That shit is just creepy. You can obviously rotate. This doesn't really hinder the articulation. It's a very soft plastic. This whole torso piece really is just a soft plastic. And it's intended to be that way so it doesn't get in the way of the articulation, I suppose. And his waist, he can actually look down pretty far. And he can look back pretty far. And I was gonna, honestly, holy crap, look at that. Look at that, man. I'm going to be honest, that was my complaint about him. I was going to say he was lacking articulation, so I messed with him earlier. His joints were kind of stiff, and I couldn't get him to move much. But now that I'm toying with him, like, holy crap, he really has some great articulation. Look at that. That is just incredible in my opinion. I love that. So some great articulation there. You can see it's empty there, but it's all black, and that's black too, so maybe it doesn't stand out too terribly. The arms do go out very far. They go forward and back. They do have that little butterfly kind of joint that works a little bit, so that's very nice. There is a swivel here. There is double jointed elbows. There is no swivel at the wrist aside from here at this little ball joint. There's a swivel and then a hinge that can be rotated around so you can have his hand in all kinds of different positions. So that's a really nice feature. And you saw the swivel, very great. You can do rotation too. It kind of pops. Very nice. The legs go pretty, actually no, they don't go too far out. And there is a little bit of a swivel there at the thigh, but it's kind of an awkward joint. I'm not a fan. I would just prefer a little cut at the thigh and do a swivel. And then there is double jointed knees, of course, and I should mention that the legs do go very far out and pretty far back too, but the articulation is very visible when you do that. But yeah, double jointed knees. There is no rotation at the calf here, or the shin, and then there is a hinge here at his boot. There is an ankle pivot that you can kind of mess with. It works decently. And a hinge here. And there is rotation, obviously. But yeah, a hinge at the toes. And it's hidden pretty well. It's like a black little screw type thing in there. Little metal piece. So it's hidden very nicely. So taking a look at Batgirl, she does come with this one accessory here. A nice golden batarang. It does fit in her hands decent. I mean, it does kind of fall out sometimes, but it fits for the most part, and I will say it's thick as hell, so it's kind of, I do not like the thick batarangs, you know, I'm not a fan of that. I hope they don't do that again, because it's they're kind of ugly in my opinion. Not a fan. But a nice gold color. I do like the color on that. And then she does come with, oop, that fell. Does come with this little grappling gun here, which looks a lot better than the one we got with Batman. My Batman's grappling gun just kind of sits limp like that. But this one goes straight up. Looks very nice, and I like the silver paint here. And it does fit in both her hands as well. So that's obviously very important. So I'll show you here too. It does fit in the other hand very nicely. So that's nice. But when you don't have the grappling gun in her hands and you just want her chilling in some other poses, I really wish we had some interchangeable hands. Would have been nice to really have interchangeable hands with all these figures, but not a single figure came with interchangeable hands. We'll talk more about that later. The nice thing about this Batwoman, and I'm going to say this about most of the figures, my favorite thing about all these figures is that the little details you see on them, their logos, their masks, whatnot, they are all sculpted on. I'll lower the brightness here for you. All those little details are sculpted. So you can see the logo here sculpted, the little boot design all sculpted on. And that, dude, I appreciate that so much. That is fantastic work. This little mask is sculpted on, even there. So that's very nice. Now, I'm going to say this. It's tough for me. It's between her and him. The only thing that throws me off for her is the face sculpt a little bit. But I mean, if you look at the card that she comes with, which I'll grab right now. Sorry, I'm reaching way over. If you look at the card, her mouth isn't closed, but I honestly think they captured the likeness pretty well in my opinion. I don't think they did a bad job. I think if there's anything this figure, anywhere where she falls short, it's that she's really lacking accessories. And the accessories she does have are kind of lame. Aside from the grappling gun, I do like that. That's pretty decent. But aside from that, she looks good. I think the face sculpt is actually kind of decent. It does capture her for the most part. It's... I don't know. It's okay for the... honestly, I think where it's a little bit off is it's a bit small. Maybe that's what's doing it for me. Or maybe it'd be nice if the hair was kind of out of her eye. I don't know. Something about it feels a little off. But for the most part, when I look at that picture, I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe I'm just being too critical. And it does capture the likeness. Now, this figure, honestly, aside from missing the hands, is fantastic, in my opinion. I actually really like it, to be honest. It has great articulation, great designs here. I love all the yellow throughout, the nice sculpting work. You see the lines on her costume. Very nice. All the different bat logos, man, that were obviously in the art that they paid attention to and sculpted in on the gloves. Those little spikes on the back and on the back of her boots here too. The proportioning of her body as well looks normal. You can even see a little bat symbol right there. The whole proportioning of her body looks very normal to me. It doesn't look awkward at all. And the articulation is really on point, where a lot of Marvel Legends figures, their female figures, the articulation is kind of lacking or feels kind of loose sometimes, where hers is just great, man. She has a hell of a lot of articulation, sorry, and it doesn't feel loose or awkward. It doesn't feel like she's going to fall. She actually is pretty great, in my opinion. So like I said, great attention to detail with this girl. I also should mention, too, she has a backpack under there that's very nice. Would have been nice if the little buckles were painted silver or something, but, you know, whatever. It's not a huge deal. It's hidden for most of the time. And this cape is pretty nice, too. I mean, it's really small blue cape. It's a nice soft plastic, and it's sculpted really nicely, in my opinion. So I dig that. Her face sculpt, honestly, the more I look at it, I think I'm just being overly critical, and I do think it is a pretty nice face sculpt. It just takes a minute to get used to and look at for a little bit. It's a nice face sculpt. They have a nice black kind of wash in the little crevices and different strands of hair and whatnot. You can see a little bat ear sticking out too, and I really like that mask as well. Very, very nice. And the eyes are just fantastic. There's no bleeding with the paint, nothing. Just very nice detail all throughout. And it's very clean. It's very, very nicely done. Focus that for you guys. Turn this down a little bit. I think it looks pretty nice though, in my opinion. Now, as for her articulation, it's okay. Her head doesn't really look too far up, but it does look incredibly far down. Jeez. There is a neck pivot there. McFarlane's really great about that. Rotation all the way around. Just have that little butterfly joint as well, which is a little bit tight, to be honest. Goes up, down, forward, and back, obviously all the way around. There's a swivel here at the top of the bicep, by the shoulder, double jointed elbows. That's awesome. And then there is no swivel here at the forearm, but there is a swivel at the wrist. It is also a ball joint, so it has a very cool hinge, and you can rotate the direction of that hinge around, so that's a very nice feature. She has a very nice diaphragm joint, with a little swivel here at her abdomen, and unlike the other McFarlane figures that have come out so far, it doesn't look awkward at all. It's actually really great. So, I mean, the female figures so far, I think, are better than the male figures, in my opinion. I really like this figure a lot. So, yeah, the swivel's very nice, goes right, left. It's very tight, though. Kind of works, kind of doesn't. It's okay. She does go very far back, so it looks like there is a swivel here at her waist, too, in there, that you can kind of rotate her on as well. So you can see, so swivel up here at the abs and down below by her, like, pelvis area, at her waist. So that's very nice. The legs go out very, very far, like crazy. Most of these figures have that. Go forward. She does have a soft, or does she have a softer plastic kind of crotch piece? I can't tell. Maybe it's just the belt. All the other figures do, though. Most of them, anyways. Go forward, back. It's hard to say. I can't tell. I think she might, yeah. You can see there when the leg goes back. Look at that. That is a soft plastic piece. Very nice. I love how McFarlane does that. So it doesn't really, they do it in an effort to not hinder the articulation, and I appreciate that. And it really still, they capture the detail and everything in her belt and whatnot, so it doesn't look awkward. Very nicely done. So forward, back, all the way out. Very nice double jointed knees. No swivel here at the calf. However, there's a rotation here at the foot, and there is a hinge, and you can rotate the hinge in whatever direction you like. So you can have a crazy ankle pivot as well. And even when you have the hinge facing forward, you still have a little bit of an ankle pivot, so that's a very nice feature. Okay, so we have two figures out of the way. We're on to the last one, which is Dick Grayson, Nightwing. And I gotta say, my hopes were high for this figure. I saw images of him, and I was very excited for him. I thought he was going to be fantastic. And I'm not going to be light with my words. I was seriously freaking wrong. This figure is a piece of shit. That might be terrible of me to say, because I won't lie. There's good parts of him. There's good aspects of every figure. But this guy went so far off, man. I think him and out of the comic figures, I don't own any of the Justice League figures. I don't really want them. I'm terrible for saying this. Sorry, this is one of my sins, but I don't really watch the Justice League show. I'm more into the comics and stuff. And I'm not saying that Justice League people aren't, but I'm not a big cartoon guy myself, aside from the Clone Wars. I love the Clone Wars and Rick and Morty. But this guy has some really messed up anatomy, in my opinion, and it makes him kind of shit. I won't lie. Like, what the his goddamn arms are so small. Excuse my language, but they're so freaking short. They look awkward as hell, and his damn thighs are so fucking long. And then not only that, but we have these goddamned... Here, let me brighten this baby up here for you. Sorry I messed with my camera so much, but you have these goddamn ankles, man. What the fuck? What is this? That is horrendous, dude. To stand him is just... I can barely stand him when he's on the goddamn stand. It's just awful. Now, if you change this, if you take this out and these off, okay, you take out the arms, you take out the legs... Beautiful. I think he's fantastic. I think the face sculpt is decent. I think the body sculpt is really nice. Like I said, love the soft plastic piece. Love the fact there's a swivel here in the waist and a swivel here. And honestly, I think how the top part of the abdomen kind of swoops down over those abs, that little weird swivel. I do think that's kind of ugly, but with this guy, it's not so bad. With the Batman and the Superman, it's a little more awkward. But with him, it's not too bad. Not too shabby. I don't mind it as much. It looks decent. I prefer to not be there at all, though, honestly. However, for the sake of this beautiful logo and the sculpting of it, I think it should be there. Because they did a fantastic job with this logo, man. Like I said, I love when they sculpt these on. That is such a nice touch. It's such a nice piece of care. And I love how they have this so he can hold his little, what the hell are they? What am I thinking of? Little nightstick, little batons, freaking nightsticks. His weapons, man. It's cool that he can hold these on his back. And you can do all kinds of poses with him reaching back. And I like doing the pose where he reaches back and, like, grabs at him, almost. I think that looks really cool. But it's awkward because his arms look so fucking small. I don't like that. his hands are definitely too small. And I mean, like I said, McFarlane has great attention to detail sometimes, really. Look at that. Even the knuckles are painted. And dude, that's great. The shades of blue are all consistent. The mask is sculpted on. The face sculpt is great. There's a blue wash in the hair here, all glossy. I really like this figure. I do. So, I mean, despite those problems and him being kind of shit for them, and that really pissing me off, I think he's a great figure. I mean, oh, what am I talking about? He's not that great. But he's fun as hell. I'm going to have a good time posing him and doing different photos and shit with him and having him next to Batman. So I'm excited. He's going to be fun to mess around with. I'll say this too, his size is a bit beefy, where I don't know. He makes the Batman Who Laughs look tiny compared to him. Batgirl and him are in decent scale, I'll say. But let's compare him to Batman and Superman. Alright. Superman is way back in my display, and I don't want to mess with him, but I'll take out Batman because he's pretty far up front. And I'll say this, I'm not going to get into the Batman figure too much, aside from the fact that his head is small as hell. And I think if his head was a bit bigger, maybe they'd be in a better scale together. However, his chest even looks to be a bit lower. Batman just looks lower and more stout, in my opinion. I don't know. I think it's a little rough. I don't think they're in the right scale. I think Nightwing's a bit too big, yet has really small ass arms. I mean, are his arms freaking shorter than Batman's? Yes, they're definitely shorter. Like, what the hell, man? This figure had some rough proportioning himself, and I'll say his thighs are even a little bit on the long side the more that I'm noticing it. But Nightwing makes him look like he's proportioned beautifully, in my opinion. I think he looks so rough with that proportioning. I'm very disappointed. And then the last thing I want to do is show you how he holds his little accessories here. And I'll say this, he does hold the accessories well. And I should mention too that he does have great detail all throughout the costume. The different materials you can see here, different designs and stuff. Nice blue paint. I was getting a little sidetracked here because I was a little pissed. But he has nice detailing all throughout. They really do pay great attention to detail over at McFarlane Toys. They do a good job. And like I said, just because this figure has a few proportioning issues, like with the arms and stuff, well, that didn't sound good. Just because he has a few problems here, it doesn't mean he's a bad figure. You know, I think he is a lot of fun. And I mean, if you get him in the right pose, it's not terribly noticeable. You can have some fun with him and really make sure that it's kind of hidden. So I mean, he's a fun figure. But I'll show you how he holds this gear here. It fits in there very snug. And I honestly think his hands are still a bit small. Like, it does look kind of funky in there, in my opinion. Let's see here. It really takes a lot of freaking... Jeez, these hands are not a soft plastic, man. Damn, those are pretty difficult to get in. So they definitely ain't falling out, that's for sure. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, that looks nice. And they do fit real nice. They're little holders in the back here. I'm going to put them in so that little ring is on the top here so they don't slide out. Kind of lock it in there. They sit in his back very nicely. You can see them. It is very reminiscent of the comics, his comic counterpart. And it looks nice. I do think it looks great. And like I said, once again, nice attention to detail with this dude. He looks good, but his proportioning is pretty whacked, in my opinion. I think the arms are... Honestly, the biggest issue for me is these arms. I think they're a bit too small. The arms and the ankles are my biggest problem. The thighs could be a bit shorter, but not a huge issue. It's really these ankles and the arms. The ankles really fuck up how he stands, and the arms are just kind of awkward. Aside from that, I think he's a decent figure. He's not bad. He's a lot of fun to mess around with. As for his articulation... You can see his head doesn't look back too far, and I should mention too, the head is nice paint. Looks down not too far. Does have a pretty good neck pivot, as all these McFarlane figures do, which I think is great for doing very organic, natural poses that look like they're coming out the comic book page. So I think that is important. Very nice touch. It does do rotation too, and the neck does move a little bit when you rotate him, so that's nice. And I do love how you can see the little collar here. It looks very cool. I like that. The collarbone looks nice as well. So that's very nicely proportioned. Anyways, the arms do have a butterfly joint as well, like most of the other figures do, which is another nice feature. But they could have added some blue paint there. That would have been nice. The arms do go up and down, all the way around. There's a swivel here at the shoulder or the bicep. There's a double jointed elbow, a rotation or a hinge here that you can move all the way around and change positions with, and rotation. Very nice touch. There's a swivel here by his abdomen and a swivel down at the waist too, so you can really get him in some far leaning back poses. And I prefer that over an ab crunch, in my opinion, just because it looks more organic, like I said. But I don't like how they have that piece of the abdomen hanging over. It looks awkward. However, like I said, I feel like if you took that away, you'd be sacrificing this nice sculpted logo, and I'd rather have the sculpt. That looks very nice. But that's my opinion. Everyone has a preference. The legs go very far out, as all the other McFarlane do. Well, actually, no. These legs don't. That soft plastic piece still kind of gets in the way. I think they would go out farther if they weren't kind of stopped by that. So, I mean, they do go out far, but not as far as a lot of those other figures do. They go forward very, very far. They go back pretty far. They have a tiny bit of rotation. Very, very tiny, but really nothing. Double jointed knees, always a nice touch. Very kind of stiff, those. I mean, like, look at that. That looks kind of awkward. They're a little stiff, so you have to mess them a little bit. Then there is a rotation here at the ankle, but like I said, very awkward ball joints. And you can rotate those around as well. They're very loose, so I'd just be careful. There's an ankle pivot as well, as you can see. But those are very loose joints. I think they're kind of ugly. I don't like how you can see, I don't know, those pegs there. I think it just is kind of awkward. And there is a hinge at his boot, so that's cool. But, I don't know. The figure's okay. I definitely wouldn't pay $30 for him, though. I would not pay $30. Honestly, at most, I'd probably pay 20 bucks. I think he's probably a decent $20 figure, in my opinion. I think McFarlane has done better and can do better. I mean, that Johnny Silverhand figure, very nice work. The Mortal Kombat Raiden, I think, is a very nice figure as well. The Superman figure, I think that's also dope. And the new Batman Arkham Asylum and the Joker figures, though that was pretty decent. I don't think those are bad. This is definitely an example of how what they shouldn't do. This is a rough figure. Everything outside of the legs and the arms is decent. So, anyways, let's talk about these figures. So all in all, I think these figures are good. You know, in the majority, I think, like, altogether, they're good figures. I enjoy the hell out of them. Batman Who Laughs is fantastic. Nightwing, so-so. Batgirl, fantastic. I think McFarlane, I honestly feel that this multiverse line is headed in a good direction. And I mean, I know a lot of people are kind of pissed because the new Batman figures were announced and they keep releasing Batman figures. But those figures actually look a lot better than this Nightwing. So I mean, I think they're headed in a good direction, and I'm excited to see what they come out with after this next announcement. You know, I want to see the Flash, I want to see Green Lantern, all kinds of characters. I would love to see. God, a Gorilla Grodd Build-A-Figure, like, jeez, man, that'd be amazing. But, you know, hopefully down the line. Anyways, thanks for watching this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was insightful, and I hope it helps you pick out which figures you're going to buy and how you're going to spend your money. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, comment. Stay tuned for more. Follow my Instagram at TheWiseCollector. And most importantly, keep collecting. Peace, guys. Thanks for watching.